Go ahead and get started, you guys. We will open with roll call.
Bob Keller.
Here.
Donna Kramer.
Here.
Jen Metzger.
Here.
Tim Miller. Matt Rankin.
Here.
Ryan Rogan. Here. And Sue Wilson.
Here.
All present.
All right, and then we'll go ahead with the good news with Mr. Haynes.
We have quite a bit of good news this week. If you'll scroll through, the first thing is we've received a lot of positive feedback from teachers in our district that are having the opportunity to earn license renewal credits when working with an instructional coach. And if you recall, the instructional coach is part of the TLC program in the state of Iowa, which is making sure that our teachers are having an opportunity to better learn their craft in the classroom, which will focus on student achievement. So we're very fortunate our instructional coaches are able to provide this for our teachers. The second piece is a fifth grade band and orchestra students started their instruments at Super Lesson on Thursday, September 1st. A parent was invited to attend the lesson with their fifth grader. Students and parents broke out into sessions split up by instrument and had a quick 45-minute lesson with the director on their instrument. We're excited that all of the band and orchestra students are getting going on their instruments so early this spring, or this fall. Congratulations to the cast of Sunday Night and 13 Ways to Screw Up Your College Interview. The Sunday night performance will be held in the Indianola High School auditorium on Thursday, November 3rd through Saturday, November 5th at 7 p.m. And 13 Ways to Screw Up Your College Interview will perform either Friday or Saturday at the Iowa High School Thespian Festival at UNI. According to the staff, it was incredibly hard to cast these shows with so much talent that we have. They'd like to thank everyone who auditioned, and we hope that you're also able to audition for the production in December. If you get a chance to see these programs, please make sure to take it in, and you'll see up above is the cast and the parts that they'll be performing. Congratulations go out to our Indianola girls cross country team for winning the Urbandale meet last week. There's a lot of discovery happening in Camp's Conservatory of Science at the elementary science pilot happening at Emerson. I was able to enjoy the classroom last week, and a lot of hands-on learning is taking place, and the students are very excited about that opportunity, and the classroom looks amazing. The 7th and 8th graders had a welcome back pep assembly and reviewed the school rules. Part of this, I might not be in it, but you can tell I was able to play the cowbell during this about right over a year. They wouldn't give me a trumpet. I guess I hadn't practiced enough in the last 40 years. Mrs. Reed's 5th grade class at Irving has enjoyed having ISU basketball star Ashley Jones as her student teacher over the past several weeks, and she did finish up, and the students really had a great time, and she did a great job in that classroom. The next one, I had the opportunity to visit Miss Emma Kinney's classroom last week. It was a journalism class, and I was a guest celebrity to share about my new task at Indianola, but I was also the individual that they got to ask questions and practice their interview skills before they go out and share it with others in the community. It was a fun time. A lot of questions were asked. The students were really engaged, and I just really enjoyed getting in the classroom and visiting with our students. Whittier had a wonderful turnout for their preschool open house, and the students were all smiles for their first day of school on September 1st. Students at Whittier are already working hard to utilize their one-on-one devices as a way to enhance their learning. Students have been exploring ways to collaborate with others, organize their thinking, assess their own learning performances, and share their learning through Schoology, Seesaw, and Google Docs. It's been great to see our students of all ages utilizing their computers in such a gaining and meaningful way that also fits their own personal individual learning needs. 2nd grade artists at Laura Ingalls Wilder exploring mark making with different stamping materials to create backgrounds for their Square One art. Congratulations to our students above, Eric Jensen, Kyle Roberts, and McKinney Wagner. Their students have been recognized by the AP College Board for their outstanding performance on the PSAT, NMSQT, or PSAT 12, and our AP exams. They've accomplished these milestones during an immensely demanding period of their high school career. We couldn't be more excited to share their news, and we're thrilled that they earned this recognition. They are only 3 of 62,000 students across the country to achieve this honor. These programs help students from unrepresented backgrounds stand out to colleges during their admissions. The test consists of reading, writing, language, and math items. Students who are eligible for this national program recognition must have a 3.5 GPA or higher and excelled on those tests and have earned a 3 or higher on at least 2 or more AP exams. And they are in the following groups: African American or Black, Hispanic American or Latinx, Indigenous, and or attend school in a rural area or a small town. And last but not least, congratulations to Brandy Dara for completing the Doctor of Philosophy degree. Brandy teaches English and gifted and talented courses across the high school. Earning a PhD is an amazing accomplishment. Does anybody have any questions?
Great. Thanks, Ted.
Yep.
Next, we will move on to any board member reports.
I just have something to say.
Go for it, Donna.
Today is the day to vote for the bond issue, and I just want to extend a thank you to some former board members, Carolyn Langwater, Ken Bresnan, and Lori Abernathy for helping us get this process started, and also to Art Sathoff. So just want to express my appreciation for all their work they did to get this issue
And the
going.
community team.
Team that's
Teachers.
worked very hard, and
We'll see.
yeah. But
We
anyway,
shall see.
keep our fingers crossed. But yeah, thanks to all who worked hard on this. So.
Thanks, John.
I had time since the last meeting, sorry Sue, to get into the elementary schools and just introduce myself and say hello and welcome to the district to all of our new elementary staff members. And try to get to the middle school, high school here before the next meeting.
Cool.
And this is probably more for the high school, but we have a lot of parents that go online, so I thought I would mention it. We just got some career opportunities, and I know part of this board's really one of our focuses to build up our career and technical education side. So they wanted me to just announce that the 132nd Wing Career Day for the military is on September 22nd. And they're going to talk about really the why go into kind of the military. So, and the other big one is we've been notified by the Pacific Union Railroad out of Boone that are in desperate need of young workers or employees and all that stuff. So we'll pass those on to the high school. But for anybody listening or anybody out there that's looking for careers, or the kiddos that are in kind of the workplace instead of the college place, those might be some good options for you.
Cool. Thanks. Anyone else? Any board member reports? Okay. Next, we will move on to our delegation petitions, communications.
Haley Sunny.
Hear me? Okay. Perfect. So my name is Haley Seti, and I'm the high school field rep for Turning Point USA. The reason I am here is because our chapter president for the Turning Point USA at Indianola High School is unfortunately out sick the past couple of days. But I did want to take this time to invite everybody here. We are hosting an official Turning Point USA tour stop with Benny Johnson, and this is the first ever high school-led tour stop, so it's a really big deal. We want to get lots of people there to show support for the chapter, and that's also going to be at the Holiday Inn in Des Moines at the airport, just so we have like the capacity in the room and stuff. But yeah, you're all invited. I'll have flyers, I'll leave them on the table out there, but yeah, that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a date?
Oh yeah.
It's okay.
It's Monday at 7 p.m., but doors open at 6 p.m.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
And Carlin Brook.
Okay. Hi, my name is Carlin Bruck, and I am a junior at Indianola High School, and I speak today as a representative for the Environmental Awareness Club at our high school, who a lot of the members are in the room with us today. For the past 4 years, the Environmental Awareness Club has been committed to helping care for our local environment. During these years, we have run multiple fundraisers to support foundations like the Sierra Club, and completed projects such as making masks out of recycled materials during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, we want to ask for your support. If your city votes to construct a new high school building, we ask that you do your all to make sure this building will implement policies to reduce our school's impact on the climate. We understand that at ground zero, systems such as solar panels look very daunting, but these systems are necessary to help protect our environment, and more often than not, they end up being cheaper in the long run. Solar panels, for example, can reduce monthly utility bills as much as 10 to 20%. If the new school was able to allocate certain spaces for growing natural prairie areas, we would save money on water bills, mowing equipment, and labor as well. A new and improved recycling system and possibly composting system may take some effort on the part of students and staff, but would negate costs of fines, which has been going on as our recycling system has been contaminated with more and more trash over the years. But most importantly, all of these options would help protect our local environment. I and the rest of the club understand that we will not be present if and when a new school is built, but all of us understand the importance of leaving future generations with a planet to live on. That's why we ask for you to hear our voice now and to keep them in your minds as the results come in, all the way until a new building is underway. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we have. Is anybody else need to speak?
All right. Thank you to both of you guys for speaking. You did well. All right. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
She did a good job.
If he has any questions on it, I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made by Ben to approve. Seconded by Donna. Any further discussion on the board?
Amy, just real quick on the positions that are still outstanding. There's quite a few associate positions that are posted on there. I see that's got the 6th on it. Has that changed with the hires that are on the revised sheet in front of us?
Yes, yeah. And then, there are some too that, I know there's one building where we have an associate that didn't want to be a permanent associate, but as a sub-associate, but is here for the until December. And so they just had a couple of days that they needed to be off here and there. So it didn't work for them to be a full-time associate. So the numbers look a little bit worse than they probably are in our buildings. I know that we are still short in associates, but we do have some of those kind of nuanced situations in which there is truly a person there every day, and it's the same person every day, but they didn't want to be a permanent associate. They're in sub-status and just reporting to the same assignment every day. So there are a few of those. And again, we've had some hires as well.
Okay, thank you.
Are the board bills, is that part of the consent agenda as well?
It is.
So the $24,000 to Carlisle School District, can somebody help me understand that? I just didn't understand that.
That would be like open enrollment or special ed.
Okay.
I don't know which one that is, but yeah. Tuition in, or tuition out.
Yep. Got it. Okay.
We get some from them too.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Since Tim brought it up, I did have one question on the finances. People's Bank for $4,610.
That is a cash box. So there's cash box, like that's the beginning for all the athletics and the food services.
Okay, it's not a fee, that was cash.
Nope, it's cash box, yeah.
Okay.
And because it's written as a written check, it shows up there.
Anyone else? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is our presentation for our equine therapy program.
Yay! Hello again. Nice to be back. I think all of you probably received a fairly lengthy report in June, maybe, if you recall. And so we're here tonight with a little shorter version of that. And I think we are again asking that we have the opportunity to continue with this program this year. We felt really good about what happened with our first project group. And I wish, late thinking, I wish I could have had one of the students come in tonight and talk, because that would have really told you more than us just standing up here and telling you. So I'm am very fortunate to have these three ladies here who really are the nuts and bolts of this program. Laura Hetler and Ashley Stavig and Beth Bergmeyer. So they really are the experts in what we do at Wesley Woods. One thing I think we need to clarify is this just isn't us taking kids out there to play with horses. There is a lot more to it than that. So Laura has a wonderful PowerPoint that she's going to go through to kind of explain the whole process that a student would go through if they get involved in this program.
I'm Laura Hubbard.
Laura, I might have to run out of here, but it's not because I don't like your presentation or that, just know that I might have to leave.
And I have to go vote for something, so I have to leave, but I'll be back.
We get really excited and really passionate about this program. This is a national training program that we are so blessed to be part of. And by the end of this year, we are hoping that we will have 2, possibly 3 of us that will be fully certified in the program. Right now, most of us are level 2 trained, and we're continuing to bring on more individuals at the level 1 training also. So this is a trauma-informed model, and what does that mean? All of us carry stuff. All of us have stress in our lives. Some of us have big traumas, some of us have little traumas, and our kiddos in school are bringing that to school with them. And we are hoping and learning that it does work to bring those kiddos out into nature and to do this model. And I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself here. But we're working at building healthy relationships and helping kiddos regulate their brain, helping their brain get into a place where they can actually learn and think about building relationships and making good decisions for themselves and being in control of their own behavior, so we don't have to feel like we have to control what they're doing in the school and in the classroom. What does trauma-informed healthcare have to do with education? That's the next slide. It kind of gives us a little more accurate lens to understand what's going on with our kiddos. We talk a lot, teachers learn a lot about behavior theories and behavior modeling and how do we help kids change their behavior. And what happens is the behavior is at the top of the brain. When we talk to kiddos about that behavior, it's at the top of the brain. And if they can't regulate the bottom of the brain, the fear, the anxiety, all of that stuff, we can't get to the top of that brain to put them in a place where they can actually learn and where they can build relationship and want to learn. So that's some of the things that we are doing, is to try and help those kiddos learn some of this stuff for themselves. We would love nothing more than to be talking with teachers and helping them understand how to better have classrooms that are more rhythmic and patterned and have that input that will help those kids to get to that point where they actually can learn better and their brain is in a place to be able to learn. When educators learn about this model and they learn about the physiology, the body reactions, as well as the brain reactions and behavior, their questions change. Instead of asking questions like, why are you doing that? What's wrong and how can I change your behavior to be more in line with what the behavior needs to be in the classroom? The questions become more about what's been your experience? What do you bring into school with you every day? And how can I help you to get into a place where you can learn, where you are in relationship with me, in relationship with those other kiddos in your class, and you're actually ready to learn this stuff that we need to be able to teach you. I was going to say, I think I just skipped through the next slide and went to the next one. So the next one is, I think, where we're at. One more. There we go. So our goal is to build connected relationships with ourselves and with others, regardless of the task. So the task in the classroom is learning math, okay? But if I am not in a good relationship with myself, and if I'm not regulated, and I'm not anxious, or I am anxious, then I can't learn those things because the top of my brain is not online to be able to learn that stuff that I need to learn. So our ultimate goal is connected relationships, regardless of the task. And in order to form healthy relationships, we need to teach students how to regulate through the sensory input that's coming into them in the classroom and into their surroundings. Some of our kiddos come from some pretty dysregulated home lives. And when all of that disorganized pattern is coming into play, and we don't help them get past that, they can't get to the top of the brain where they have to learn, where they have those cognitive skills accessible. So we have to learn to teach them what they can do to regulate and organize that input. Yep, we can go to the next one. Super simplified brain. We have a brain stem where all of that input comes in. If you look around the room, there's input in this room. There's silver on the wall. There's brown cupboards. There's blue in the carpeting. Purple, blue, I'm sorry. Okay, purple. Yes, it is purple. All of those things are coming into our brains, and then we have to organize those somehow to make sense out of them, right? Some people can't organize those things well enough to be able to make sense out of all of that input that's floating into their brain because their brain is already so anxious and overloaded with stimulation that things just don't make sense. So the brainstem is where all of that input comes in. The diencephalon is where we move. So movement, walking up and down the halls in the school, going to, what do you call it, gym or flying class, that's all movement. If we can find rhythmic ways that our kiddos can move in the classroom, whether that's fidget toys, being able to stand up instead of sit at a desk and to move around when they need to. Those things are really important for some of our kids. And then the limbic system is where we're in relationship. So as we are learning to be in relationship with each other, that's the next part of the brain. And the neocortex is where we're learning, and where we're thinking, and where we're having those thoughts and those cognitive processes that actually allow us to learn things. But if you can't work up through that brain from the bottom to the top, it's really hard for our brains to learn things. So if you all just will humor me here for a second and just stretch your body somehow. You know, if that means, stretch your arms, roll your neck. And I find that as soon as I start to do that, my breathing wants to take a little bit of relaxation. And I'm going to the yawning is wonderful. We like yawning at the barn because we're told from the time we're little that yawning means you're bored. Yawning does not mean you're bored. Yawning means you are releasing stress. So parents and kiddos in the classroom and at home, we look at our kiddo and they're yawning and they're going, oh my God, you're bored. You're not listening to me. Their bodies are just releasing stress most of the time. So all of these things come into play when we're working out of the barn with our kiddos and helping them understand how that brain works and how these things all fit together and how we can use fidget toys and walking the labyrinth and noticing nature outside in order to be able to regulate our brains to be able to learn to develop good relationships, and that's where the horses come in. So if you pop up the next slide, that's a little bit about what I was just saying, that we're regulating from the bottom to the top. And school, a lot of traditional therapy, parents, we start at the top of the brain and want kids to process up at the top of our brain when they're really not ready because they've had a hard day or they're anxious or they had a rough day with a friend at school or something. So we need to get down to that brain, so we need to put in a rocking chair. We need to go for a walk after school. just move somehow. As I'm rocking back and forth here, trying to regulate myself while talking to you all, before we can get to the top of that brain and actually be ready to learn. All of that input, if you go to the next slide, needs to be rhythmic, patterned, and predictable. So much input comes into us in a very dysregulated way. Lights and things in our cities, and kiddos spend so little time outside. So this is where the horses come in. Horses help us to learn about rhythmic and patterned and predictable responses, because horses don't like things that are not predictable, not patterned, and not regulated. That's how they survive, is by noticing things and hopefully having those things be rhythmic and patterned and predictable. And when things aren't rhythmic and patterned and predictable, that's when they spook and run off and have issues. Gosh, we don't know many kids like that, I'm sure. So when we can teach kiddos, in the next slide, how to regulate through the sensory stuff coming into their brains, they can begin to form healthy relationships and be ready to learn new things in school and at home. And if you look at those pictures up there, Casper is the white horse, Kip is the dark horse. Both those horses were having an extreme difficult time with that little pop-up tent that day. And they were in that arena and they were running around going, oh, I can't handle this. And our staff went in and started to work with them and help them move in more rhythmic ways. And then all of a sudden they could explore and investigate those things. And as soon as they could touch them and explore those things, they started to go, hey, I can handle this. I can learn to be able to handle these scary things. And that's what our horses need in relationship with their kiddos, help them practice those relationships where they can make mistakes and not be judged by the horse for those mistakes. The horse doesn't hold all that against them. They're not worried about that stuff. The horse may give them feedback and say, hey, I don't like this, and move away. But then we ask the kids, what just happened there? You know, where was your energy and why do you think that horse moved away from you? And then a kid can start to process, a kid, an adult, anybody can start to process that stuff and figure out how what we do impacts the outside world and be a better place to understand that stuff and learn about it. Anybody have any questions? I feel like I've kind of bounced through things.
Do you guys do just children? So in the future, this could be something that once we look at budget, it could be open to staff as well.
Please.
Okay.
That would be fantastic. We would love to talk with teachers and bring them on out. Or this, and I said this last time, this is a model that you don't have to have a horse to do this.
Right.
We learn to regulate through this model without ever having a horse present. And then it's you and I that are in relationship and not the horse that you're in relationship with.
What age group?
Right now, with the school district, middle school and high school, I think is what we've been.
Our pilot group was part high school, part middle school. So,
What about the elementary schools?
We do, Beth and Ashley are our licensed mental health professionals. We see lots of people, kids and adults, out at camp, and some of our youngest clients, 5, 6 years old. So this model works with everybody from little tiny to older grade. Works with parents, works with kids, works with pastors, works with teachers, anybody who's willing to look at things just a little bit differently than you may have looked at before working with a horse. Because we trust that the horse will be in control of themselves. I trust that our kids will learn to be in control of themselves. And I trust that I have to be in control of myself. And we mess up. And what a cool place to be at when we can mess up and we can look at that kiddo and say, can I have a do-over? I didn't do that the way I wanted to do that. Can we go back and repair this relationship a little bit and make it better? Make a better choice the next time. And that's what we do out there. We try and be super transparent with our kids, our adults, everybody that we work with.
Model's built on brain science, and so you would shift things a little bit with younger kids, as their brain isn't fully developed.
How many kids did we serve this last time?
How many?
How many?
We did 6 in our pilot group, 3 from the high school, 3 from the middle school.
Is the cost the same for 6 or for 12 or for?
Yeah, I think if you, in the packet, we have it broken down cost. Which one?
6
I think
is
it's
really
in-
the number
sorry,
we
sun's in my
feel
eyes.
safe doing in this group. If we do more groups, then it increases by that amount per group. Does that make sense? So really the cost per kid is, it's in the packet I think that you guys got. I think it's $100 per night per child. And when you compare that to mental health therapy, which is $150 to $180 an hour, so that would be $300 to $320 for that same kid to have 2 hours of therapy in the same night. If you compared it to just a simple riding lesson, where you would go out to Copper Moon or come out to Wesley Woods and have a riding lesson, riding lessons cost anywhere from $40 to $60 an hour for a group lesson where there may be 4 to 6 kids in that same lesson. So actually, we're at about the same price per hour as you would for just a basic riding lesson that includes no mental health relationship building.
I know you had one of the students, can you tell me how that affected those students?
Well, I can tell you that we had a 9th grade girl who was pretty much nonverbal, period. Did not talk. Didn't talk in school. No social life. Mom was searching for something that would help with this young lady. And I don't know, was it about the second?
Week 2, she started
Week
to
2?
say a few sentences. By week 3, by week 4, there was no quiet.
Her mom says she is volunteering to work in the concession stands where she is interacting with lots of people she doesn't know. Talk to Sherry Miller. She will tell you what it's like in the classroom. This young lady has done a total turnaround and has talked about this program nonstop since she did it. So I think we can all say that every single young person who did this had some positive behavioral outcomes, and their parents would attest to that also. So we have gotten great feedback. I can tell you, I don't know how this works, but I would get on the bus to come back and it was just like, wow. And one young man, 8th grader that I worked a lot with one-on-one last year, lots of stuff in his life, kind of that kid that's always in trouble, always kind of on the borderline with teachers. And one of the coolest things we saw was when the kids first interact with horses, it's amazing to see what kids connect with what horses. And this young man connected with probably the horse that was the most aloof, I would say, right? Naughty. And yeah, Ranger, yeah. So then we always processed at the end of our time together. And so they don't have to share, but if they want to share, they can. And the best thing through the whole thing that I heard was from this young man about Ranger. He is misunderstood. And that is this kid. So misunderstood. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I have a question. We've got grant money that we can utilize to continue this program this year. what do you know of, or what is available out there for us to be able to make this a long-term program?
That's a good question. We're looking at possibilities. Kyla has formed some, community relationships that she's hoping that.
You guys all know Roger Nage, right? Most everybody knows Roger Nage. Well, we worked together for years, and we still are really connected with a lot of things, and he's always helping, volunteering. He came in and did a self-defense thing at the end of the year last year, and just a great guy. He knows a lot of people in town, and so I bounce ideas off of him. One idea he has would be, we have a lot of civic organizations in town who are often looking for things to give. So our idea was possibly if a civic organization could sponsor one, if we could find that many civic organizations that would be willing to sponsor one, maybe two. We know there are some grants out there. I think I missed out on one. The CVPC would be a possibility. That's part of kind of the social services. There's a pot of money that's used for families and kids, and I hadn't even thought about it until I saw that it had come out and it was already the deadline. So I think there's things out there. I think we just have to look and we have to search. But I honestly, having experienced this, think that it would be well worthwhile to try to figure out how to do it.
And some of the other ways that we can continue this is if for some reason we can't pull together the money for the kids to come out, helping teachers understand how to do some of this in their classroom, because I know teachers are expected to do so many different things. Some of this stuff kids would be able to do on their own once they understand that the things are available in their classroom to be able to do it, or that a teacher knows that it's okay for that kid to get up, look out the window and notice 3 things and then from nature, and that's going to help regulate them, and then they can come sit back down and take that test that is causing them anxiety. So, there may be some ways that we can draw some expanded opportunities in that way.
And I think there's 3 links, right?
Yes.
And if you would click on maybe the second link, actually kind of the people who started the whole program are actually talking to a group of teachers in a training, and it's just a short little video, but
it's just 5 minutes.
Yeah,
they're talking about how this can impact kids in the organization or in the classroom. And then they go on to give all kinds of things that you can do in the classroom with bubble timers and just rhythmic pattern input into the kiddos while they're in the classroom.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
So our next item of business is
Thank you.
under G.
Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. Is under G1A, year-round education program, and we'll start with the public meeting. So we'll go ahead and open the public meeting. Public hearing. And is there anyone here to speak for or against? Public hearing. Dawn, you're here to speak for or against the public hearing for year-round education?
I'm sorry.
You here to speak for or against the year-round education program for?
I'm just here.
Just here tonight, yeah.
There's good points about year-round and there's bad points. The good points is the kids don't lose. And the bad point is the county fair.
Right.
That we are a big part of and stuff like that. If they could work around that to why the kids are off during those 3 weeks, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But, I mean, really, it's got good points and bad points. I see a lot of good points in it because the students don't lose so much and stay active and be
Whole learning process, retaining, yeah.
is socializing.
Sure, yeah.
Because I know a lot of kids live on the farm, and when summer comes, unless they have parents that take them to town every day, a lot of socializing.
Sure, yeah, yep. Anyone else via online or anything? Nobody? Okay. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing then. Yeah, it is, yes, it is, recommendation.
I recommend that we approve the administration's proposal to continue to host a year-round education program for at least the next 2 years, 2023 to 2024 and 2024 to 2025, operating on a calendar substantially similar to years past.
Motion made by Tim to approve. Seconded by Matt. Any further discussion by the board? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I think Donna's just voting, isn't she? Yes. That was happening like a month ago. All right. And next is the CTE advisory committees.
So for our career and tech ed strands at the high school, we annually appoint committee members for them, and those advisory members work with them on their action plans that come out of our regional planning partnership. And I'll be going into detail with our curriculum committee next month. Meant to do it this month, but something came up just to talk about the structure of our CTE, what those plans are, how the advisories are involved, and to hear more from them in terms of the perspective of the board as to, as Sue had mentioned, it's an interest area of yours, so we kind of understand where we're at with current reality and where your intent is and some things you'd like to see happening too.
All these individuals know they're on the committee.
Yes, we made sure Jeff and then the teachers had reached out to them to get confirmation.
Just need a motion.
Motion to appoint the committee members as listed.
Motion made by Ben to appoint those committee members. Seconded by Ryan. All those, let's see, any further discussion by the board? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next is the issuance of the 2022-2023 Certified Staff Focus Group contracts.
Are these very similar to last year's, as far as how many people are on them?
Yeah, I would say that there are fewer people on them. We had previously had a handbook focus group, and we changed that to a culture focus group. I had a culture focus group and then a staff wellness focus group, and the wellness only had one applicant, so I merged those two groups. But otherwise, you know, they've just changed a little because we've had, like, that science pilot is a new focus group this year because we're doing the pilot program. So we've tried to, the intent of the focus groups all along has been to give certified staff opportunity to provide input into other avenues within the district. And so this is what we've put together as far as opportunities, and there wasn't as much interest. I know we typically get these out in the spring, and we did not do that this past spring, so we got them out this fall, and so yeah.
Make a motion to approve the focus groups for 2022-2023. Motion made by Matt. Seconded by Tim. Any further discussion by the board? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Next is the board technology committee. I'll let Sue do that one.
Oops. Short report.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's see here. So we can go through pictures because Ray put some good pictures up there. So that first picture is the devices for middle school and high school. I think it was middle middle school and high school and picking up, and everything went real smoothly there. A lot of parents were able to get their students during those days and stuff, and then for those of us who weren't able to, they graciously had other days for us to be able to pick it up, the device and stuff for our students. So that was good. And then that second picture on the next page is a portal where it holds all the apps that are being used at the high school, is it? And
It's for some of our Project Lead the Way classes,
Yes.
industrial tech classes, some business classes.
Yeah.
It's a new system we're trying out this year.
So it's like these links would be like them having the program on their laptop, but it's all web-based. So there might be a little bit of a lag there for them, but they're monitoring that to see is the lag warranted for keeping that program and stuff. So this now allows a student that's in those classes to be able to do off-site instead of just in the classroom at their workstation. So now they can take it off-site, do it during study hall, do it at home. So, a kid that may have like a CAD program that really enjoys doing something, all of a sudden now they can go do that on their own, do their own little, project and stuff. So
That's what that is right there.
Yep.
Vision 360 is a version of like a CAD type program. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's
So
awesome.
I feel like this is a really, really good thing that we have.
Something new this year that we're trying. It's a VDI is a virtual desktop infrastructure. Basically, what it is it's allowing all those Windows applications to run in the cloud.
So they could be running their own CNC machine from home.
Well, maybe. That would be one step further.
Is this just to save space on the device itself, or what's
Well, this is typically this would have been like a Windows lab, a designated lab of PCs, where this allows them to actually do it on their Chromebook, so they can be, again, anywhere and access the stuff on their Chromebook.
And then the next photo is the server upgrades. All the devices on the right in the picture are ones we're no longer using. They used to be in those 3 towers, so we've been able to, so as technology continues to improve and things get smaller, we're able to kind of save some space there. Electricity, of course. Let's see, camera security proposal.
Out of pictures.
Oh, what's that?
Out of pictures, sorry.
Yeah, nuts. So you guys can so envision Lori Ingalls Wilder for a second. So Ray was able to get some estimates there from Lori Ingalls Wilder of what it would cost, because more than likely that would be our highest priced school because of all the different hallways and everything. So he was able to get some quotes there for that and for that school if we move forward with photos or cameras. And I think they also gave you some other stuff in that quote, but that'll be up to the district to decide whether we want to
The other
pursue
stuff
those
is
other
all
options.
optional stuff like card access, tying into that camera system.
So you mentioned the grant. Is that the grant that we were talking about before?
Yeah, I still don't, is there any more clarity on that?
There really isn't right now. It's just filling out if you want radios and what are the next steps, and there's a bunch of processes that are still going through it. So it's that verification process that's going to be the longest piece that they're going to have to figure out what they want to do and how they're going to hand out those grants accordingly.
Enrollment went well this year. 96% of our parents of returning students were able to complete their online enrollment by early August. There were a few that, weren't, and I saw those communications, and Ray and his department, Denise, I think it was, were, helping to take care of people individually, staying late, doing whatever they could to get people's children enrolled and helping them along that process. So I think they did a great job doing that.
Thank you.
Copy or print shop issues. I can't remember this one.
That was just that copier printer bid that we put out a couple months back, and then we went with Infomax. Our print shop is pretty much set up with new devices, but our buildings, unfortunately, we're waiting. I find out a little more tomorrow on that, but we're desperately in need of those new copiers to come in. Our old ones are not holding up very well.
Is that under the break fix insurance?
The repair of those is, yes, yep, exactly. But we're kind of to the point with those old ones where they're making a lot of trips and it's not working so well, so.
Oh, yeah.
These will be welcomed.
And that's it from IT.
Next is the board facility committee meeting report.
It's all bad.
Yeah, so just a couple quick things. We met with Brad and Laura with Envision. They kind of gave us an update on the auxiliary building construction. Obviously, anybody who's driven by there can see that they're moving dirt on it right now. That's currently being done. They just brought up a couple things. Still waiting on the shop drawings for the precast panels. Due in July, but still waiting on those, and then just working through some communication things. But did the meeting happen on the 9th?
Yeah.
Planned a meeting on the 9th, and then trying to have regular communication from here on out. Maybe.
Yeah, and that's a piece that we voiced those areas of concern, and we're going to continue to meet and continue to have conversations about what does it look like until that winter shutdown.
The other thing we talked about was the ag shop fire. They're currently had structural engineers hired, insurance company's been looking, they're still trying to find the actual cause of the fire. And then just kind of waiting on that. Started accepting bids for the demolition of the building to occur this fall. That's about it, other than those other facilities project update list, just the typical things that we've talked through, kind of along the same lines with the ag building fire. The inspection is complete, and the working on purchasing replacement of equipment. Thankfully, they did a really good job of itemizing and documenting all the equipment in the shed, so it's made it a lot easier to work on the replacement of it. And then just, I think we talked about it last meeting as well, the miscellaneous concrete projects at Emerson and the entryways there, just the concrete is kind of worn down over time. And that's it.
All right. The facility projects update, it's probably not, some of that stuff was just covered.
Yeah, I kind of skipped right to it, sorry.
Okay, no, you're good, no, so we're good. I don't think there's anything else, anybody have any questions for Ben or Tim? Okay, we'll keep moving. Board calendar.
Those are the next few meetings coming up. HR
Committee, regular meetings. And then, next board agenda.
So I have one thing for the next
Yeah,
board.
go for it.
Actually, there's two things. We'll be making recommendation whether to continue on with the, I always say it wrong, equine therapy. And then the second piece will be Dennis Cheeseborough. We talked about with Teamworks International. I believe I've sent vision cards out to you. He plans on joining us so that you can ask questions about the process as far as accountability in the areas of finance, academics, staff and student satisfaction. He met with the cabinet probably a little over a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, and he wasn't able to be here this evening, but our goal is to have him on he is available next board meeting. We'll put him on towards the end so that it's an opportunity for you to ask questions if we decide to move forward with that accountability piece with Teamworks International. And the second piece, well, it's not necessarily a board piece, but at some point, I've reached out to you in regards to the branding and marketing of our school district. I do have two people that have gotten back to me. Rick Abraw from Ohio, who was used by Dallas Center Grimes and Pella. I have a request for proposal from him, and also 818 got back to me today out of Des Moines, and I'll be having a conversation with them about what that can look like. But I know it's been a process where we've talked about shoring up what our logos should be, what is going to be on uniforms, colors, designs, and things like that, and they'll lead us through that process if that's an avenue that we plan to go to, and reaching out to students, staff, and board members and administration on who would be a part of that team as we move forward with that.
Cool. Sounds good. Any questions for Ted? Any other things on the next board agenda?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion made by Matt. Second it. Seconded by Ben. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are closed, adjourned. Notice how we did that, right?
That's okay.
You started
Got to see
talking.
2 spikes and 3 serves, I'm good for the night.
Did she want it all?